So an easy first project to do when you're first learning how to sew is a pillow. Pillow. Very simple pillow. This one was so simple. There's only one seam here and then over there. That's like really simple. Then I turned it inside out and I had this, I bought these like My Pillows. They're like little miniature ones. I got them for free after I bought the pillows. So I thought I'll make a little pillowcase. And I had this like fuzzy fabric. I haven't closed it up yet. So I just sewed, this is actually the back of the fabric. It's kind of a cheetah thing. So I just literally sewed this seam, turn it inside out here, like this. And this fabric slips so bad. That's the other thing too. You might want to really start on cotton fabrics because they don't slip. And actually one of the best fabrics to learn on is just cotton flannel because the flannel sticks together. So this thing, you just turn it inside out, pop this in here, a little bit better than that. Then this you turn inside out, or you wrap it this way and you hand stitch it closed. You can't really, you could get this in the machine, but then it really looks kind of bad. So this is a pillow that I made a few years ago. And it was, I had this scrap of fabric. It was like a little swatch that somebody gave me. And this is the back of it. It's literally just like one of those interior design, from the interior design books, big swatches. And I enclosed a piping. It was a ribbon. I enclosed it in the seam. That's actually a little harder to do, so not really great for exact beginner because you have to enclose it in the seam, get it just right, turn it inside out, and then have it all kind of come out the right size. So I wouldn't do that right away. But this right here, why I actually made this pillow, because I really don't make pillows anymore, but their pillows are so fun, they're rewarding, and you can do such great stuff to them. But this was a t-shirt that I had, and the graphic on the front, so North Carolina, Lake Norman, that's where I live, and it's anchor on there, and then this was actually a rope like trim. I bought it in the ribbon aisle and let it fray. So I just did my own little designer pillow, and it was a recycled. It was because of the t-shirt that I wanted to like put on something because I don't really wear t-shirts, and that was just a great way to make a pillow. And now we have it on our couch and it looks really good. But there's also some patterns out for pillows. I found this one in my stash. I probably bought it a long time ago. I don't know if it's still out there, but you can find patterns. But really, if you're just doing a square pillow, I'm going to show you how to do it. It's just a square. You don't really need a pattern for it. But for a beginner, and this also scares me. It doesn't say easy to learn or learn to sew. Those are actually the patterns that you want to start with, or learn to sew patterns. And sometimes it just says easy. It doesn't mean it's easy. Because I've seen like zippers in there and snap tapes and elastic casings, like all kinds of things that says easy, and they're not necessarily, so a little scary. But this is a good one because it has shows you how to do a ruffle on it. Then there's another one that has sort of piping, how to do piping. Piping is actually, this is cording, which is you wrap this with usually a bias piece of fabric, and then you enclose it and it makes a piping, which is, you'll see it on a lot of upholstery with an edging. Actually, I put it in a lot of clothes too, but I do much smaller cording, so make it piping. It's a great way to put detail into clothes. Then this is a fun one too. This is a motif. They're called an applique, like this is a dragon in there. And I pulled out this poncho I just made. I was making this little poncho with the cat, and then I made a big cat, and that's actually just an applique, just zigzagged on. So on a pillow too, you can do that, and that's a great learning lesson when you just draw out a shape. Even you find patterns like this too in the accessory section of a pattern book if you don't want to draw it out yourself, and then just zigzag over it. First, actually, I stitch around it and then zigzag over it. Great learning lessons. And also put it on another patch of fabric so that if you mess up on that, you don't have to mess up the whole pillow kind of thing. So that's a great way to start. I wanted to show you also fabric wise what you can do. You might want to start with a flannel fabric. I think I have a flannel here. You'll see it in like every fabric store usually has it. It's just like a little bit of a fuzzy fabric. And but these are fat quarters that most fabric stores have. I know I got these at Joann's. They're called fat quarters here. And you open them up and they're like just a smattering, whatever word that is, of fabric like that. And that's a great way to do a pillow. So you could pick out, you know, any kind of print or just one of them and make a two-sided, you know, basic pillow. So I thought what I'd do is show you how to make a pillow out of these two fat quarters. And the problem with these batik, these are called batik cottons. They're a certain kind of print. Batik is actually, it's when they put wax on fabrics and dye the fabric, and then the wax makes different shapes and stuff. So that's what batik is. But it's the batik print on fabrics, and they're really pretty. They're great designs, so they make fun pillows and stuff. Problem is when I show you the marking, it doesn't show up very well because the prints are so crazy, but we'll start it. And I'll show you how to make a simple basic pillow, and that'll be a great starting point. Okay, we're going to start with our fabric lined up. If you have a cutting board, it's great because you can line it up on your on the lines right here. And then I have this ruler. It's the invisible ruler, and let's just make like a we'll just do like a, I don't know, just for time wise, we'll do a 12 by 12. So I'm going to measure this 12 right here, from here to here, 12. And I'll do another one so you can't see the marks very well. 12 inches here, so just a 12 by 12. So when it's done, it actually won't be 12 by 12 because the seam allowances are going to take it all up. So here's my square. Actually, I better get this one here. I'm going to do, just cut square. I'm going to make one side this blue one and the other side the yellow, so we can kind of see the difference. Then this fabric, this is the right side of the fabric here. Kind of see the print is a little bit brighter on there, but with batiks it doesn't matter too much. And then I'll get this even. Then instead of measuring the next one, because it's very even, I'm going to just use this as a template. I think I got it right sides down. Actually, I don't. I'm going to put it right sides together. It doesn't matter in the cutting. You can do it either way, but when I go to sew it, I'm going to sew it right sides together, because then when you turn it inside out, the right side will come out. Okay, so I have two even pieces here, like that. Now what I'm going to do is get some pins. So get pins and a measurement gauge, and I'm going to use this red friction pen right here because the chalk won't show, and I also got a purple one will kind of show. Then I'm going to, actually I'll pin it later, but I'm going to put this on, I'm going to do a 5/8 inch seam allowance because that's generally the seam allowance that patterns use, and I like my students just to get used to the 5/8. So we're going to go around and mark 5/8 inch, just mark so we have something to follow, keep it on track. So go around it. My cut's not exactly even, or I don't have it on there even. And make a mark. Almost done. And what's really important are these corners right here, because I'm going to be pivoting. I'll be putting the needle down and pivoting at that point. And I'm going to go back around the corners, make sure I have pivot marks on all the corners. right there. Make sure they meet there. Okay, then put some pins. I like to pin this way because I know I'm going to start here and then it's easy to pull these out. I'm just going to put a pin on each side here. Sometimes it's a littler pin. I'll just put a pin in the middle of it to keep it from moving around. See, the cottons will stick to each other pretty well, but if this were any slippery fabric, I'd be putting pins in many spots. I also now want to I'm going to make an opening. So I'm just going to get the purple pin here. I'm going to guess do a 6-inch opening. So if I start right here and measure here, 6-inch opening, because we're going to turn it all inside out. Then to mark it, I'm actually going to put my pins right here so I know where to start it. I'm also going to be starting right here because I'm going to go around, round, and then finish up right here. If I started here, I'd close up my opening, so I know I want to start here. So I'll take this to the sewing machine and we'll get it started. Okay, I'm going to get started at that first pin right here. Take my pin out, put it towards the right. Make sure I put my presser foot down, and then I just do a couple stitches forward. Now I hit the reverse button, go backwards, just that knots it right there. I'm going to sew straight. I'm going to go to that first pivot point. Sometimes you can walk the hand wheel as long as the hand wheel goes towards you. Pivot, and then go. And then actually, if you want to reverse it, you actually do a little reverse stitch there. And then I'm going to stitch following those marks that I made, 5/8 inch marks. And we don't run over pins. Some people do, and that breaks their needles. And I'm going to come to the next pivot point, walk it there, pivot. I might reverse it again. I could reverse it on both sides. I'm going to stitch. I like to kind of stop the machine too when I'm going to go take a pin out. Some people do, and then they get all off track. I'm going to walk it right to that pivot point, pick up the presser foot, put it back down, and reverse stitch it. My reverse stitch too is just, it could be both sides, but it's right here. I don't go backwards at all, or all the way. It's just a quick one. And I go straight, stop, take out the pin, walk it to this pivot, move it. Then I'm going to be coming up to the end. Right here, I'm going to reverse stitch it like that. Take it out, cut it off, take the pin out. And that's all the sewing that is in this. So now I'm going to take it up to the table, clip the corners, and turn it inside out. So that was easy. Just a square cut right there. And then what you want to do is you want to clip the corners. So you don't want to clip the threads. Sometimes I'll put my finger right there and then I'll just chop off the corners. That helps it when you're turning this inside out. You don't have all the bulk in there. So you actually just they call it midder or miter, one or the other. You just shave off that side right there and you just eliminates the bulk. So you don't have that big old fabric bunch under there like that. Okay, then clip the threads off of there. Then all you got to do is turn this inside out like this. Ta-da! Pretty simple. And what we like to do too is get a chopstick. I gotta get a chopstick. They have point turners and stuff too, but we like these plastic chopsticks. And we order Chinese food too, then we have our chopsticks to eat. No, we don't do that. And then we just get the corners out. Now if you sewed it a square, when you turn it the right side out, you should have a square. I have a lot of my students, they don't finish it. They go, it doesn't work. But if you just take this out, if you sewed it into a square, it will turn into a square. There is your pillow, like that. So now you stuff it. You can just use regular stuffing, which is like this stuff. call it polyfill, I believe. This is actually like snow stuff. Somebody gave me a bunch of snow stuff for all my fashion clubbers. They like to make pillows. You can actually stuff it like this, or they make really great pillow forms that you can buy in the fabric stores too, and they're much firmer. So if you're going to do anything like seriously for your couch, and then they'll have a measurement on it. It'll say 16 by 16 or that, you know, like that. And that's actually, then you make your pattern 16 by 16 plus the seam allowances. So you're going to 16, you've got 5/8 on one side, 5/8 on the other, 5/8, 5/8. So should be 5/8 and 5/8 is 1 1/4. So it'd be, so then you would be cutting it at 17 1/4, you know? And if you want it to fit real snug, you might just cut it 17 inches, like that. So this is kind of stuff that's ran out of stuffing. But remember, we cut it 12 inches by 12 inches. So let's see what this actually measures from side to side. We are down to 10 1/2. Well, it can't be right. Probably 11 if I stretch it. Yeah, it is 11 if I stretch it. So see, it lost 1 inch all around here and here. So now my pillow is not 12 by 12, it's 11 by 11. So the seam allowance, I have a lot of students that forget that you have to add that and then it gets taken away. So that's how that goes. Then we will slip stitch this closed, then it's done. So I'll show you how to slip stitch it. Okay, so we have it stuffed. I kind of pressed this down a little bit. That actually helps. And you're going to pin it both layers closed together. Make sure it's all even right here. Then you're going to take a needle, and I put a 2-layer thread here. It helps it be a little bit stronger. And you put a knot in there. It's a messy knot. But we're gonna hide it, so it doesn't matter. Then I'm gonna take the needle through the opening, and I'm gonna hide the knot in there like that. So now the knot is in the inside there, and I'm just gonna bring the needle through, do like a little slip stitch. So you just grab a little bit of each layer. And I never learned how to hand stitch the right way. I just get by. My goal is to sometimes just to hide the stitch. It's right there. You can actually put the needle through. You can see it's right through that fold over and hide it. So the more you hand stitch, you find ways around hiding the stitch. See right here, you can see the needle right here. You're going to see the thread. So I'm going to put it, make sure it's going under the fold. So now there's no needle showing. It's going to hide right there. And I'm just going to keep going through there. Because on a pillow, you probably want to hide the stitch. There's so many other different ways to make pillows. You can do back flaps. You can do zippers. Then there's another pillow that I love to do with this. Has like where you actually stitch around here, and it has like it's called a flange, like this little border. I love making that pillow. That's pretty fun. But see if there's some patterns you can find. Just practice do a couple pillows, and then just gain some skills doing that. So now we're at the end of the stitch there, and now I'm going to do my fun little knot. I bring it through, I get a loop like this, I bring the needle through once, and I come through the loop again. And if it works, then I pull it, and it knots it right there. And then I put the needle underneath, bring the thread through so that it hides it, and I cut that off. And there's my little pillow. Pretty cute, huh? Okay. Easy project. So make start with an 8 by 8, and then a 10 by 10, and a 16 by 16 one, and then also maybe try like a 10 by 14. do a couple different size pillows. These are the basic concepts. A lot of right sides together, marking the seam allowances, doing the pivoting, and turning it inside out, trimming up the seams, and that's your basics. And then once you kind of get that concept, then you move on to doing all kinds of different things. Different kind of pillows, like pipings and things like that. But the piping's actually a little on the difficult side. Do the motifs with your little appliques, make some designs on there, and just get good at that, the basic stuff. And then you're on your way to doing garments. That's a whole different world. Different funny shapes. Okay, we'll see you next time.